Thank you very much, and good afternoon, everyone. And thank you for the organizers for inviting me to give this talk. So I'm a basic scientist, and I study this thing, the brain, the human brain. I actually forgot my brain in the office, so I had to go back up the hill to get it. So I study brain and behavior. This is what I do. And today I will try to link the research, which is the basic research, to this field of either education or generally to applied. And I am working on it on my lab. I study it here really in the lab, either behaviorally or with MRI the brain. But let me show you how we can link it to the real world. And you need to think about the link to education. We'll think about it together. So behavior change, guys, remember what we discussed about the remote? We did, I'm an empirical scientist, so we tested it before. So behavioral change. So what is behavioral change? It's a new thing. When I studied here, I started 17 years ago. It wasn't called this way. It was called learning or decision making. But this new name, as far as I can see it, was coined to be able to grab wide as umbrella as possible to define different problems. So you can see here, of course, obesity. Okay, Maggie de Block, the Belgian health minister, people criticize her. How can she be a health minister? But as you can see down here, the dieting thinks about self-control, and the failure is the failure of the brain. It's not that these people think, oh, are fat people weak or lazy? No, they're not. It's a problem. So you see here, a typical trajectory: X is time, Y is weight loss. People lose weight, end of treatment 6 months, but then go back to baseline. Okay, and this typical sinusoidal shape going up and down, or sometimes people from the audience do, it goes more up and up. Alcohol and tobacco cessation. You want to be up here, 100% abstinent, but after 3 months, we're already at 50%. So the current interventions, there's a problem to change problems. But these are bad things happening. But here, relevant to this conference is, think about the classroom, or think about science of learning. How can we induce better learning, better understanding, better encoding of items without thinking negatively? So I think what is the common thread across current interventions is that people say, well, diet, of course, you're eating all healthy. Eat lettuce, eat good. Of course, smoking is bad for you. Alcohol is bad for you. Of course, people know that, but it's not working. So we need to think about this problem differently. And for that, I want to show an example of what I think, how we need to think about behavioral change in all fields. And of course, education, when at least kids and students are reprimanded all the time. So they're trying to get people take the stairs. And okay, so this is, of course, a one-off project by Volkswagen. They have other videos online, but I think it captures the idea that behavioral change has to be fun, has to be good, has to be something you want to engage in, and not when you say, oh, it's bad for you. Let's see how I try to promote it in the lab, and for that, let me do a quick experiment with you. It will wake you up as well. So now you'll see a picture on the screen, and you need to say the word tau, not when you see the picture. Okay, tau, Tel Aviv University, tau. When you see a red circle around the picture, let's do a demo, just like in the lab, okay? So when you see the red circle, say tau. Okay, let's do the demo again. Great, only when you see the red circle. One last time of the demo, just like in the lab. Talk about technology in the classroom, talk about technology of 15 meters getting to the computer. Okay, let's do the real experiment. Great. So what you just engaged, and thank you very much, this was a behavioral change manipulation. And this is exactly what I do in the lab, slightly differently. So I work with snack food items. Snacks, because talk about technological things again. So I work with snacks. And why do I work with snacks? Although I showed you obesity, because snacks, people like to come to the lab to do experiments. We want to bring them to the lab to do the science, and then we can think about other problems. So I bring them to the lab, and I ask their preference of snacks, and then what I do, I show them one by one on the screen. But instead of having a circle and then shouting tau, I have, press the button once, please. For some of the items, there's a cue, there's a tone, and then they need to press the button as fast as they can. So the button is just like you saying tau, and the cue is just like the red circle. And this, then we have two types of items. Items which are go items, cue, they have to press the button as fast as they can, and items which are not go items. That's it. They see individual items on the screen one by one. Again, this is basic research. This is how it looks like in the lab. Try to listen to the cue, to the beep, and then see the button here, the hand press. Beep, press the button. And now there's a beep coming. That's it. So participants do that for 30 to 40 minutes in the lab, and then we have them make real choices. So this is how my lab looks like. So we have a snack food store in the lab, and they know that now they'll make choices between pairs of items. They need to tell us how much they like. They need to choose which item they want to eat later on. This is it. And what we find in over 30 samples, that just queuing the items previously, when they were presented one by one on the screen, changes their preference. When they're making choices for real food, they've been fasting for several hours. So we can change behavior with a very low level of manipulation, not telling them, be healthy or not be healthy or choose this. They don't know. They just come there, they press the button, no feedback, nothing. This is not Pavlovian training or thing, because they're not getting the items when they're being trained. So we have this training, and we have the choices, and we have a general mechanism for behavioral change. Now, what does it mean? That we have a replicable mechanism, but we still don't know how it's working. And I told you that I study the brain, so I put people, while they're playing this game, this task, inside the MRI. We have an MRI for research purposes here on campus. And what we see is that when we look inside their brain, so there's this region called the VMPFC, ventromedial prefrontal cortex, just geography. This is the value region in the brain. And we see now that we managed to change their preferences without reinforcement, without self-control, and we have a neural signature for that. Now, what do we do with that? One more. One more. Thank you. So the question is, first of all, can we do that in the food domain? So I have a colleague in the Netherlands who managed to change preferences for fruit and vegetables. First of all, it's working. Not versus snacks, but at least within that category. Then, we've been able to show in the lab that we can change preferences for multiple items, just like fractal art, suggesting that even for non-important items, for participants, we can change them. We bring them back to the lab, and it lasts up to 6 months. One more, and the first application that we're going with this is trying to change preferences in people with tendency for depression, because these people like to look at sad faces. And what we're trying to do is to make them like more happy faces, and then see if it affects their mood. So this is in the realm that's called attention-based modifications, though this is not attention per se, because there's only one item. It's enhanced processing. Now linking it back to, one more, linking it back to maybe education, and one more. So my students wanted to create this game, say, let's gamify it, because everything has to be gamified today. So they created the virtual reality in Oculus game. Now the spaceship needs to fire at these snacks. And they're testing right now to see if this enhances, this immersive experience, enhances these preferences. And now you can put whatever you want instead of these snacks. You can think about it now, how can this affect really science of learning, learning at home? Can you cue some items? Can you make them really be better encoded, especially because we know that this one session leads to better preferences 6 months after this one session of training. And now let's see if it worked on you. Okay, one more. What is the best university? One more. Tau, of course, right? And one more. Thank you very much.